Thank you, everybody, for letting me know you can hear me. Sorry about the hesitation. Just wanted to make sure that we're good. And we are live, so I'm being told we're good to go. So I want to start off by saying good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our Highlander Wisdom webinar on planning your legacy. My name is Frank West, and I'm the Senior Regional Coordinator for Alumni Engagement here in the Office of Alumni Relations. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to feel free to ask your questions, either using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screens, or you can use the chat box that you guys have already used. We're excited to have Tom Lillard with us, the Associate Vice President for University Advancement, to lead us in our discussion. Tom graduated from Radford in 1979 and serves as a member on the Alumni Board of Directors. He's also a class of the 2014 inductee into the Radford Athletics Hall of Fame. Good afternoon, Tom, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Frank. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, especially our wonderful alumni panelists. I am pleased to report this is our second alumni webinar featuring planned giving at Radford. Our first focused on the various ways to make a planned gift at Radford and become a member of the society in 1910. Our planned giving society, which was created in 1988. Today's program will feature testimonials from some of our newest members of the society in 1910. And before we introduce our panelists, I would like to share members of our team who are actively involved in our planned giving efforts. Wendy Lowry, our Vice President. Penny White, Senior Director, who oversees our major gift officers by college and also supports the College of Education. Steve Adams, the Davis College of Business and Economics. Vanessa Connor, Artist College of Science and Technology. Carter Turner, Humanities, Behavioral Sciences. Ben Hill, Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations. And of course, Laura Turk, the Executive Director for Alumni Relations. Laura is a key advocate for supporting us and finding new leads through her team to support all the efforts of planned giving at Radford. Now to our alumni panelists. We're pleased today to be joined by Nancy Love, Charlie Ashley, Lisa Arundale, and Mason Gates. We look forward to hearing from each of you about yourself and your future plans for Radford University. Thank you all.
Just take a minute to get everybody on here, get everybody set up. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to have you all with us to talk about your legacy with Radford. So first, I'm going to have the panel go around, introduce yourself, tell us your class year, your major, and tell us a little bit more about your Radford experience. And I'll go to Mason Gates first, and then we'll kind of work our way around.
All right, I'll try to keep this real brief, but first, thanks for having me. It's interesting to come back and tell a Radford story about myself, for goodness sake. I spent most of the 80s at Radford, actually. I was at Radford for a couple of years, left for a couple of years, then came back for a few years. When I came back, I had a little more discipline in my life and got myself together. And was active in a lot of ways in Radford, in many different ways. Always felt myself to be an entrepreneur, and at the time hung out with a lot of entrepreneurially minded Radford students from, I think the 80s produced a tremendous amount of entrepreneurs out of Radford, and I was one of them. And I got out of Radford, started a company, and over the years have grown a few, all related, just so happens, in the world. It started out in the world of college marketing, and then college recruiting. And then I founded a company called internships.com, which is now the largest international marketplace for interns in the world. And all of it, of course, is rooted in the university world. So I had the benefit of kind of staying young and youthful and connected to Radford on a regular basis through the years. I've worked with Laura Turk through the years as well. I knew her as an undergrad, and it's been nice to see her grow at Radford and me in the outside world, but still kind of keeping a hand in what's going on at Radford. I really have enjoyed seeing the entrepreneurial efforts grow at Radford through the years. And I've also seen the value of a right education and right internship for the right people, is such a great launch pad for anyone in their professional career. I now work at Indeed, Indeed.com. I am one of the folks that run their Idea Center. It's an international executive briefing center for companies to learn how to hire the right people better. Or, we, as our slogan goes, is we help people get jobs. And the unique thing about that is the company at Indeed focusing on the job seeker first is a really neat priority, because all the other companies have always focused on the revenue from the companies first. And by focusing on the job seeker first, it's allowed us to go deeper into this job seeker journey, which goes all the way back, and it's rooted in their university experiences for the most part, getting internships. And that first career path step means such a big deal in the world of any individual, no matter what the school is, no matter where they are, age, grade, nation. That path of what you're going to do with your time during the day is such an important thing. And I always bring it back to me being at Radford and what it meant to the people that mentored me and directed me in the career center there, and what could be done better. And so through the years, I've always given lots and lots of my time and some of my dollars in advising and assisting Radford in a lot of ways. I think it's become a little more apparent as I've gotten older that I want to do a little plan giving. I've been very blessed throughout life to be able to be in a situation to recognize what a few $100,000 and a legacy gift can mean to an organization like Radford, and being able to direct it to things that mean something to me that I think has a world of good, helping people learn how to take that first step better. And I always say it's not really about the right first step. It's making sure you don't take the wrong first step is really the advice, as long as you're going the right direction. But I think that putting monies towards that, as well as the entrepreneurial efforts at Radford, is going to continue to seed more minds and more right paths and better things in the world to come. And if it starts there at Radford and I can assist in doing so, then I'm going to do so. So Tom's assisted me and is continuing to assist me in making a path to where some of my giving can go, and what it can do good at the university for years to come. And I'm really psyched to make it happen.
Awesome. Thank you, Mason.
Thank you, Mason.
Lisa, I'll let you go next. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your class, your major, and your Radford experience.
Sure. Well, I graduated in '79, which seems impossible, but long time ago. I was a music major, music education with emphasis on voice. And since then, I've been very blessed as well to have had some amazing experiences singing for several presidents of the United States and a bunch of other, politicians, which we won't mention now, but just all over the country and several other countries. And it's just been an amazing thing. And what really gave me, I think, that a lot of the confidence to be able to do that, because I'm from deep in southwestern Virginia, where there was unfortunately little opportunity at the time, but I was blessed and able to have to get out, if you will, and see the world and do all kinds of stuff. So as I got older, I wanted to be able to give back as well, and to give particularly to music students who might not have figured out or might not figure out, or have the person, my mother was a big influence in my life, might not have that person in their lives who encourages them and says, you can get out in the world and do what you want, or you can go to college and get a degree in music, you can do all that stuff. So what I'm doing as a legacy gift is that I'm doing some scholarships that I'm actually doing now, but I'm also leaving a legacy gift to start a summer music institute for high school that'll be free to them, for high school students who are interested in music, don't know really how to do it, what to do, but are hopefully interested in going to Radford as well. And I want them to help realize that they belong there and that they're worthy of being there, because I get choked up a little when I think about it. But it was really hard for me to actually do that, because I was the first person in my family to go to a four-year college. Plus, I was only 3 students out of my senior class actually go to college. So it's, it was, yeah. And I hope that's increased. I really don't know now, but I hope that's increased. So I wanted to help them have a leg up, basically. So that's what I'm doing and why.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Charlie, I'll let you go next.
Sure. Yeah, my Radford experience. So I guess graduation year is 2013, which for me seems like 1,000 years ago. And then, yeah, double major in computer science and psychology. I'm fortunate enough to use both my degrees in my career, which has been really cool to see how that's grown. My Radford experience, I got involuntarily asked to leave after my freshman year, and then kind of same as Mason, came back with a little more drive and focus.
Charlie, I always say I was politely asked to leave.
Right. Is it? Yeah. It was actually Dean Horton, who's now the mayor of Radford, was the guy that I had the meeting with. Is my claim to fame until today, I guess. But when I came back with a drive and focus, I really wanted to get involved. I did that through being a campus tour guide and helping teach the University 100 classes. And one of my favorite Radford memories is coming back to an alumni weekend, like 3 years after I graduated, and this beautiful girl walks up to me, like way out of my league. She's like, Charlie, it's so good to see you. I was like, hey. And she said, you were my tour guide 3 years ago. I'm graduating. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. It was great. I couldn't believe like I had that kind of impact. A huge part of my Radford experience was getting involved in Greek life, and that's where a lot of my focus is in supporting now. So like 2 years after I graduated, I started a 501c3 nonprofit whose like sole purpose is to be like a mini private endowment for my chapter at Radford. So that's grown. And where I get involved with the estate planning part is I don't trust any of my alumni fraternity brothers at the moment. So it's easy to hand that off to the Radford Foundation, hopefully in a long time, when I'm dead and gone. So hopefully that's a nice nest egg. And then my personal life, I have a boring day job, but then getting more in the entrepreneurial side. Still very small time real estate investor doing flips and fixing up rental properties and that kind of thing. But I'll wait to get into all that. But yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you. And Nancy, I'll let you go next.
I'm a graduate in 1975 with my bachelor's degree in home economics. And in 76, I got my master's degree. Obviously, I'm the oldest one on this panel. And I had great professors. I had a great experience at Radford. I was there when it went co-ed. So I was there when it was all women the first year, and it went co-ed the second year I was there. But it gave me a great opportunity to go back to my hometown, which is Henry County in Virginia. And I have taught for over 40 years, still working when I can, and still volunteering and doing some things in the school. But I continue to serve even in my community. I am a member of the Altrusa International, which we are concerned about literacy programs in our own community for children. And I really got a great education at Radford, and it really inspired me to continue to go back for homecomings, which to me were like right now are like a vacation. And I come up that mountain. It's a lot pleasant. It's more pleasant coming up the mountain now than it was almost soon be 50 years ago. But I have enjoyed being on the committee and working on homecoming for the Department of Education and Human Development, and on the campaign committee for the Together campaign. And I've missed very few homecomings, as my husband and I have attended over the years. He's not able to now, but I still get to come back. And as I say, that's kind of like my vacation. And I started making small donations as I could when I was teaching. And I thought that was important, but as I got older and as I've gotten ready and if I basically retired, I really did want to give back and wanted to be able to do more. And I got the information for the legacy program, and I really liked that there was no pressure, that you could give what you could. And I thought that was very important. And I like to see that I am giving for scholarships for young people who are going into education, and particularly for those that are coming back to my own community in Henry County. So I feel like you're helping people now. I'm helping now and in the future as well. I love my experience at Radford. It prepared me for a career that I dearly love. I love teaching. I still enjoy coming back to campus, and I've made a lot of great friends through the alumni office, and I have really enjoyed being back. It's a beautiful campus, and I see students on a daily basis that I really encourage doing the volunteer writing to get, to encourage them to come back and to come to Radford. So that was, I had a great experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
So I just want to remind everybody that's watching today, if you guys have questions for anybody on the panel, feel free to use the chat box, use the Q&A feature. But I do have a couple of questions that we're going to go through for the panel to get us started. And this first question was kind of touched on a little bit by a couple of you, but I still want to ask it. Tell us a little bit more about your career. What did you do? What are you currently doing? And how would you say your Radford network kind of played a role in getting you to where you are today? And I'll go to Charlie first for this one.
Oh man, I like to tell people I have 3 jobs, 2 that are fun. So one's my day job, I work in software development. We build software for banks, which sounds super boring, but the claim to fame for that is we built like the call center software for the Apple Card. So if you call and complain about your interest rate, the person working on the screen is using the software we built. So that's the kind of stuff we build for the day job. Boring. Fun stuff. The 2015 is when I started my little scholarship foundation that supports my chapter at Radford. That was kind of my first crash course into entrepreneurship and everything. I started with nothing, $0, no donors, no money. I just had a grant was the goal to achieve that was available. So figured out how to get the entities created, got the bank account set up, and then started cold calling my fraternity brothers. And in one day we had enough monthly donations to support a $300 scholarship. And that just blew my mind. I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Since then it's grown. We do about 10 grand a year. We invest all of our extra capital to, the whole endowment thing. So it's grown a lot, and it's been really cool to see. And our awards are growing too. So before I could give a kid a $300 scholarship, and now it's amazing. Like I really love the work the foundation does, and I get to do it through my kind of side project where you call someone, you say, hey, give me the information to mail this check for $1,000 to apply to your student loans. Is like just that's my why. It's amazing to hear these kids like joy and relief that it's just that much less to worry about. So I really, really enjoy doing that. The other fun job, which I'm trying to move to, is in real estate investing. So I like doing rental properties, so long-term rentals, short-term rentals, Airbnbs, that kind of thing. Everything I buy is a piece of junk, and then I fix it up. The current project I'm working on now is an 1895, 6,700 square foot mansion that's been chopped up in a bunch of different units that need some love. So I'm in like full swing for that project, and kind of like building a legacy or a tiny scholarship endowment. It's just beautiful to see things come to life and transform and bring value back to something. So that's where I'm at so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks.
Lisa, I'll let you go next.
I keep muting because I have a dog and a cat, and were asleep before the call, and now they're roaming around and screaming and so on. So I keep muting. I apologize. They wanted to be on the call, I suppose. I've kind of had a varied career. Actually, I got my degree in music education, as I said, with emphasis on voice, but I never taught school proper. But what I did do is teach adults, and but not music. So I taught them how to teach. I taught them education. So I did that in corporate America. I started my own company. I was a bit of an entrepreneur. I found out I didn't really do well in a corporate place. I don't like taking orders, I suppose. So I went off on my own and started my own company called the Entertainment Company. And it was called that because I taught during the day, like you were talking about, Charlie, and then taught in the corporations, and then at night I would sing somewhere. So it was kind of a two-part thing. But I did that, and then I actually wasn't in touch with Radford for a long time because I moved from, I moved to Richmond after college, and then after that I moved to Florida for a year, and then to Arizona for 10, and then to Seattle, Washington for 8, and then back home. And I mean, it's been varied, and I'm now in Florida. So I haven't really had people next to me that knew about Radford or had gone to Radford. So I didn't have that. But when Facebook started years ago, I actually started finding some of the people in the music department that I went to school with. And that was really fun to find out what they were doing with their lives and catching up with that. And so that was my network then, was through Facebook. And then I want to say last year, but last year nothing happened, obviously. 2019, I actually went to my 40th year reunion homecoming at Radford. And it was such a fabulous experience. I was shocked at how much the campus had grown and yet kept its beauty and its small town, if you will, just gorgeousness. I was so impressed. I was also impressed with the diversity now and how that's grown and expanded, just with everything. Everybody that I met, ran into, talked with at all, everyone was so fabulous and so excited about their school, and the staff as well as the students and alumni. So I was thrilled. And so that's kind of what got me started thinking more about this. I was also ready to do estate planning and all that. So that's pretty much what got me started in this and what my career was.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mason, you kind of talked a little bit about what you're doing now. Can you kind of talk about how your Radford network kind of played a role in getting you to where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, and Radford, unbeknownst to me at the time, as you're a student goofing off and going to class and, trying to figure things out, all of my friends ended up being entrepreneurs or just top-notch salespeople. They're very social and ambitious and hard driving, and most of them, much like Lisa, first to go to college of the family. I think what you'd stated, right? And I think a lot of Radford students at the time were like that. When I got out of college, a lot of my friends went on to start businesses, and we were networking together and figuring things out. And it was very helpful in many ways, just from a network standpoint. Again, though, luckily for me, my businesses I was starting was in the college market, the college realm. And so I was able to come back to Radford and draw on resources in different ways. When I started internships.com, I needed a bunch of students to help figure out how I needed to bang on my software. Charlie knows how this goes. You need a beta group of people that's going to bang on it and use it and tell you if it stinks or not. And so I worked with the Career Center at Radford, and we formed the I think the organization's still going now, is the Entrepreneurs Club at Radford. So I funded the Entrepreneurs Club to get a bunch of students that I could then use to beta test my software, and they could beta test it as a group of students looking for internships. So it was really wonderful in many different ways. And I was helping Radford in a lot of ways and helping these students, and they got to be involved in my startup. And a different way than most students would be exposed. And so for me, it was fruitful in so many ways, seeing all these little blossoming ideas. And I'm still friends on Facebook with lots of the folks that I've involved myself with Radford through the years in a lot of these different projects. But it's kind of neat to know, like, a company like internships.com was founded at Radford, just with the Career Center there. And you see it everywhere now. It's a wonderful sort of feeling for me to know that, Radford played a role, and it just wasn't my idea, and off I went. And still being able to rely to this day on a weekly basis. I'm in contact with lots of my Radford friends who are entrepreneurs that are successful and grown on. And we still get together socially. We may not be coming to homecoming all the time, but we're on, it was a group of us that did a virtual happy hour a few months back. It was really super cool. So I think Radford plays a deep role in my life, just in, I came from Hopewell. 3 people from Hopewell came to Radford that year, and off we went. And looking back, part of my assistance, I think, is going to be having students from Hopewell matriculate into Radford, because I think it's a wonderful place to go for Hopewellians. And I think Radford had, for me, just that it was that core jumping off point for me. I jumped off into the world from Radford, and I've not looked back since, other than the fact that I recognize where it came from. And I love going back to the campus. And my daughters are now high schoolers and are touring campuses. We're going to be visiting Radford this fall, so it's going to be fun to come back.
Awesome. We can't wait to have you guys back on campus. Nancy, what about you? How would you say your Radford network kind of helped you along the way?
Well, as an educator, I've come in contact with hundreds, thousands of students. And I'm glad to say not only did I work with other Radford students who also teach in the area, but also I've influenced students and encouraged them, not even if they didn't go to Radford, to go to college. And many of them did go to Radford. I can say that I can count numerous students that are now teaching. Maybe not in Henry County, but other places, and as well, that are students that I've had, and they enjoy their college experience, and I encourage them to go to Radford, and many of them did. So it's good to see them come back home and replace us, those of us who are retiring, and they certainly are coming back home. Many of them are. So that's what I've been excited about, and I'm always excited to get back to Radford and to see the campus, because I think it is beautiful. I am not looking forward to them tearing down McGuffey Hall. And you can I don't know if they've torn it down yet, but I may have to be there for that day. But it's been a lot to me. But I like to see the campus grow, and it is a beautiful campus.
Absolutely, I think we can all agree on that. So Lisa, can you kind of talk about what made you decide to support Radford with your gift, and kind of talk about the process you went through setting it up?
Well, as I think more about this process, what I was doing was I was thinking, where do I want to give? And this has been maybe a 5-year process, I would say, to just internally. And I've thought about many, many charities that are very worthy of receiving funds. And I just kept thinking of back home, if you will. And so that's when I went to the homecoming, that sold it. It was like, yes, this is where I want to do it, and this is the vehicle that I can do it with. So I actually met Susan, who was working with Radford then. She has since moved on, and now I'm working with Wendy on the legacy gift. And I'll tell you, it was probably one of the, I'm trying to think of the word, loveliest comes to mind, but that's not a very business word, but it was the easiest, most wonderful relationship with everybody that I've talked to. And I've talked with, the music department leaders and leadership and so on. Everybody that I talked with there was willing to help me out and help me kind of develop exactly what it was that I wanted to do. Because the first thing I started with were scholarships. And then I kept getting this little niggle in my head saying, no, there has to be something else, because before I went to Radford, there was a scholarship that I tried out for that I had to of course, audition for. And I mean, I had not really heard any classical music before I went to Radford. I mean, this is really telling personal stuff. But anyway, I really hadn't. And so, you know, we were supposed to prepare a song and sing it and provide the music for this thing. Well, you know, I did this folk songish kind of thing for mine because I didn't know any better. And then I got to the audition and everybody was, you know, oh, we do the opera and you know, classical pieces. And I was like, oh my. But everybody was so kind. Of course, I didn't win the scholarship, but everybody was so kind. But still, I knew that I didn't know what I was doing. I was way over my head. So that kept hitting me when I was doing these scholarships. And I thought, but I want to help people that might be like I was and just didn't know what you don't know. And so all of a sudden, in talking with Wendy and others in the music department and so on, it hit me that I wanted to have some kind of a pre-training, pre-exposure before they went to college to prepare them so that, again, they felt a little more confident in doing it. They were able to have some years possibly to prepare, you know, for their first days and for this transition if they weren't classically trained as well, and so on. And so, but the actual way of doing it was so easy. It took a while, you know, between my attorneys and, you know, the things we needed to do at Radford to make sure that it was lined up. Because one of the things I told them, I said, you know, I really want this to be a smooth transition. I'm not going to be here to do it. So I really want everything in line with my will and my papers and documents and estate papers with yours, so that there is no doubt whatsoever and an easy transition that, you know, boom, it's done and there's no question about it, you know. So they made that so simple, so easy. I was guided all along the way. I was everything that I sent them when they, you know, interpreted it into your language that you needed to be done was sent back to me for approval. I mean, it was fabulous. It was just a lovely experience, I have to say.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you so much
you.
for sharing that.
You bet.
Charlie, what about you? What kind of gave you the idea to just kind of support Radford with your gift, and then, you know, how did your process go?
It's an interesting question. I guess the reason why kind of just evolved naturally. So kind of similar to Lisa, like I saw a need and then I just had to fix it or like find a solution to try and help it. So for like my personal experience, I had a free ride to school through my parents. So I didn't have to worry about anything. And with like in retrospect, I probably would have been a mess and not done as well if I had to worry about how I'm going to pay for everything. And it's still I just can't imagine. I can't relate to the kids that have to go through it now, and I can't imagine how like challenging and difficult that is. And for me, like my focus is in Greek life and specifically my fraternity. And most of our guys are first generation college students. They have part-time jobs, sometimes multiple. And on top of all that, they got to pay their dues, which some guys don't, but we let them go. And then they got to pay for school. So the need I saw to fill was to help my fraternity brothers who are struggling to like remove that one concern, even if it's a little at a time for now. And I'm always big on just building something and then automating it. So like that first day I sat down and started cold calling my fraternity brothers I hadn't talked to in a couple of years. I was getting them to sign up for $10 a month. And that's grown into about 10 grand a year now. And now with the investments, it's just exponentially growing. So that's one piece of it. That's kind of where it started. And then the natural evolution was like my personal finances. I've always been very frugal and prudent and marketed myself well within my career, and then have started doing the real estate investing, which is really blown up in the past couple of years. So you look at your stuff on paper and you're like, I got to figure out what to do with all this when I'm shot out of a cannon at the end. And from there, I just like to keep things really simple. So I looked at the what's it called? Is it the President's Circle? Is like the big gifts one, right? So I was like, what bracket do I want to be in? So I picked the highest one I could afford, and then left the rest to my fiance, made sure she got a couple of the houses and things like that. But I just kept it really simple. I was like, I want to be in this bucket. And I can't remember if I reached out to the Office of Advancement or how it worked. But I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and filled out a form. I got my will created for $250, and that was it. Easy.
Awesome. So I guess the next question, I'll kind of go towards Mason first, and then we'll finish up with Nancy. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat box or in the Q&A feature. But the last question I have for you guys is, what do you anticipate as the long-term accomplishments for the areas that you supported? And then what do you hope to provide Radford and its students with your generous support in the future? So Mason, we'll go to you first.
So just to get straight to the question, the long-term outview of what my support's going to do. I'm directing my efforts toward entrepreneurial efforts in the business school and to the career centers, and both of them. The business school obviously has got structure, but the entrepreneurial world is just a place of vast play and fun in the business world. And I was a marketing major. Originally, I was a theatrical design major, and I realized that no one got jobs in that whatsoever. So I figured I'd better do something different. And I jumped into the world, the creative side of business, which was marketing. I kind of knew I was an entrepreneur at heart, and being able to help anyone with direction to get direction and get a footing or get a movement in the right direction to fulfill their promise in that area is a good thing. And I think in setting something up that will have some perpetuity to it will allow that to continue. And years from now, after I'm dumped at sea, Charlie, I'm not being shot out of a cannon. But I'll be dumped at sea, and I think that years down the road, maybe somebody will say, "Hey, who's this Mason Gates guy?" And there's some legacy there. And on the career center side, in the world of colleges, I don't know how much you guys keep your thumb on the pulse of what's happening in the world of education, but colleges are being held accountable in a lot of different ways now, and name alone is not a big thing. I think colleges, it's a great equalizer nowadays is a career center. Career Center can get their students, in the places of importance in the world of work. It is a tremendous impact on the college in a lot of different ways, and I think that career centers across the land have been taken a back seat to the rest of the university world, and I think they're being put to the front, and not budgetarily in the world of colleges, but I think they're slowly starting to recognize their value. I say the world is starting to recognize career centers' values. And I think the more that can be done on the Career Center front to assist students in that directional path is important. And as an addendum to that, at Indeed, I work with our data in volumes on a daily basis. And I've started reaching out to Radford to figure out what we can do with some of this Indeedian data for career pathing purposes as well. So we can figure out what I'm a marketing major that's 56 years old. What does a 19-year-old marketing major, what can they do with that data along my career path and aggregately all of ours? And it'll demystify our career paths as in the years to come. And data will allow us to do that, make those first steps much more comfortable. Still terrifying, I'm sure, for everybody, but I think they're a little more directionally inclined than what we had back in our day. So I think that monetarily, you can buy a lot of things, and data and access and structure can be used to scale a lot of things. And at the university level, you can scale a lot of different things educationally for every individual. So that's the entrepreneurial, being able to apply that back to the university model, recognizing that Radford itself is going to be there for years to come. My family, I don't know what's going to happen to them, and I'm taking care of my family and in a lot of different ways, but I know that it's comforting knowing that something I intend to do will have longevity way beyond me. And my kids, they've got my name and my genes, but I'm not sure they're going to spend any of my money right. And that's beyond me to say anything about. So, but that's how it is for me.
Awesome, thank you. And Nancy, what about you? What do you hope to provide Radford and its students with your support in the future?
Well, as an educator, I would like to see when the last years of teaching, I was teaching classes that were preparing students for going into the career of teaching. And education has changed a great deal. And it's not the career that a lot of people choose today. That they at one time, everybody thought, well, you either went to teaching or nursing or something of that nature. And I would like to see quality students go into education and preparing the students that I come in contact with. I would like to see students get interested in education and want to come back. And it may not be the highest paying career, but it does offer so many benefits of seeing somebody become successful in their own choices in the lives that they make. And as I give the scholarships on a yearly basis, and then what goes after me, it's just nice to know that the legacy is there that will help others. And that, as you say, it's just not going to just anything. Radford is important to me, and I think it will be wisely spent in the future.
Yes, thank you. So I'm going to kind of open it up to questions to the panel, or to any of you, that if you guys have any questions at this point. We have a couple that have already come in, so I'm just going to go ahead and each of you answer one of them. So what would you say to someone who's considering making a gift of any size to Radford to kind of help them along that process? And I'll direct that one towards Mason.
Direct it to me?
Yes.
Directing a gift. I think it's for me, it's been enjoyable to step back. I've pondered it for a long time. I've only got in touch with Tom and these guys only recently, but I've pondered it a long time. And it's not something that's a knee-jerk thing. It just kind of buds within. For me, it's budded inside of me. And it's like what's meaningful to me beyond my lifespan, and it's a grander thing than Radford. And because what's meaningful to me is a lot of different things. My family and things of that nature come first, of course, but Radford's played a part in my life, and being able to assess my life in a lot of different ways, and what's been meaningful has been important. So Radford's played a part in it. And along the way, I've been able to do things for Radford. I think through the years, I've given more of my time to Radford than my money. And I know that's limited coming toward the latter part of my years. My time is much more limited, and I'll have much more money and beyond. So, but when it comes down to any size gift, doing it with a smile on your face and a big heart, and knowing that it's doing good is important. There are a lot of charities out there, a lot of organizations, 501c3s that I see that don't do the right thing with monies, and I think it's if you're putting money someplace and you're doing it in a thoughtful and intuitive manner, or just a manner that's really meaningful to you, do it with heart, and know that the money is going to be spent in a place that's going to be supportive pretty much 100%. That's important. So that's my advice, is making sure the money is being spent and going toward the cause at hand as much as possible.
Awesome, thank you. This next question will go to Charlie. Why do you believe it's important to pay it forward? I mean, someone like you, you're a young alum. Why do you think it's important to pay it forward?
It's because it's not fair, right? Like, I kind of won the genetic lottery. My parents were able to pay for my school. I had no choice in it. And on the other side of that coin, there's someone who probably works a lot harder than me, absolutely, that has that blocker in front of them, that of the financial side of things. So it's like you kind of just have to. I don't know. It's just that it just seems like something that has to be done, and for me, anyways. And there's all national debates of whether there should be free school and this, that, and the other. It's like, I'm not going to wait for someone else to make those decisions. I'm just going to do what I want to do and help pay for it. And I mean, getting to the legacy thing, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of speaking for everyone, but like, I don't do it for any recognition. It just gives me like a sense of security knowing that at some point down the road, someone I've never met is gonna benefit. And it's like, why not do that? Like, that's such a great thing. Like, who can vote against that? Yeah.
Lisa, what about you? Why do you believe it's important to pay it forward?
Well, I was raised in Bland County, actually, in Ceres, and we were a true community in that it was a farming community, and none of us could really afford all of our farm equipment that you need to work a family farm. And so our community would share equipment all the time, and we would call each other. We helped each other in so many ways. It was just automatic. We carpooled before it was in favor, because it was just so far to get to, people's jobs and stuff, that we did that since I was born. So, I mean, it was just a community. So in that, giving back or giving to others or sharing what you have was just what I knew to do. And I've done it all my life as much as I possibly could. And there were times where I couldn't give money at all. And so what I did was hopefully volunteer or, for me, sing for free or, that kind of a thing, or donate CDs or whatever it was. So it was just in my nature to do it. However, I do want to say that as one of those kids who could not afford to go to college on my own, and I mean the gratefulness that I feel for you, Charlie, and others, like you and all of you that are on this, the help that I got was invaluable. So I again want to make sure that I can pass that on, and I've come to a place in my life where I can, and I'm just excuse me, I'm so grateful for that, and so grateful for the blessing of that I do want to pass it on. So I think it's very important with it. And Charlie, by the way, I gave tours too, campus tours. I worked in admissions.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, for my work study job, I was in admissions. Anyway, so that's it. It's I think it's, I mean, if we think about right, I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's very needed in the world today. I think generosity is sometimes overlooked sometimes, and gratitude. And so I want to hopefully be an example of that for someone as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Nancy, who or what inspired you to contribute to Radford?
I'm sorry. So,
who or what inspired you to contribute to Radford?
Well, I've been truly blessed. I mean, I think all of us on this panel have been blessed, some more maybe than others. But I think coming back each time to Radford, to homecoming, or to any event, it wasn't a difficult decision. I don't know that, just talking with the alumni people, whether it was Laurel, Penny, of course, I worked with Penny White, and just the more I came to campus, the more I thought, well, this is an easy decision. It was just like Lisa said, it's the right thing to do. It's, we may not have as much as others or less or whatever, but I think it's just the right thing to do. And that's what I wanted, that's it.
Awesome. I think I have one more question, and I'm going to ask this to everybody. So we'll kind of make our way around, and I'll start with Mason. If you could give me one word to just describe your giving experience with Radford, what would that word be?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. Charlie?
I was thinking, the first thing that pops in is just easy.
Mm-hmm.
Easy to do.
Nancy?
Encouragement.
Awesome. And Lisa?
I think I've already said it several times. It was just lovely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to turn this over to Tom as he's going to get us closed out here.
I'd like to thank all the panelists for the wonderful presentation and your sincere generosity. This has been a wonderful experience. I'd also like to let everyone know that we would be glad to send a Planning Your Legacy brochure to anyone that's interested. It's a 25-page full outline of anything that you would like to explore in supporting Radford and your future plans. And we also have a statement of intent that's a very simple one-pager that we'd be glad to get with you. So please reach out to me or any member of the team, and we would be glad to assist you all. Thank you all today for joining us.
Yes, thank you again to the panel. Thank you to Tom. And thank you everybody for sticking around with us this afternoon. Like Tom said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anybody. We'd love to have a conversation with you and figure out exactly what's best for you. I do want to give a quick shout out to our upcoming webinars. We're going to have a handful of webinars coming up this summer. And so check back with us for more information on those. But in the meantime, if you want to get more involved, sign up for a coffee chat. It's a great opportunity to connect with a member of the alumni team, and we'll find the right opportunity for you. So thank you again, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.